जयपुर वाया कोटा
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
Lucknow Junction.
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವರೆ
Hyderabad को 50 एक्सप्रेस পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন कृपया ध्यान दियो
Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher and we have a repeat of last year's finalists as CSK take on Gujarat at the Chepauk, this time with two new captains. But what's not new in the studio is that I've got my captains of yesterday with me. Please welcome Simon and Lisa. It's always good to have you all here.
Evening. Good thing is that this game won't go for 3 days, will it?
No, that's a very good point. I missed my flight last year, actually. I was due to catch a 4 a.m. flight out of Ahmedabad on the Monday morning, I think it must have been, or the Tuesday morning, whatever it was, back to England to do a game the same day. Did not happen.
But a Duckworth-Lewis final just doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't feel the same. So I'm glad we're having a repeat so early on. But have you all recovered from yesterday and what RCB did to everyone?
Yeah, I mean we've had night after night already, so I would imagine tonight is going to be very similar.
Well,
Been dissected properly, hasn't it? I think that win yesterday, it's been dissected and done. Now you just got to put it behind you, and looking
Move
forward
on.
to tonight's one.
but what happens tonight is everyone at home is winning. And at Cricbuzz Live, I'm told by my seniors you're not allowed to use the word fortress.
Nope.
But when it's Chepauk, we can't not use the word fortress because what does one do at Chepauk when Chennai plays there, Lisa? Because their win ratio is some 2.5. They've won 70% of their games and the numbers are just staggering when Chennai plays at the Chepauk. So, well, Gujarat have quite an uphill task.
They do, but they do have 5 Tamil Nadu players within their side. So it's literally Chennai versus Chennai, I think. So maybe they can get some intel and obviously know the ground, but we know Chennai are so successful there. They've got a core group of players, but also the coaching staff. And we were kind of going through the coaching staff. You've got Flem, you've got Bravo, you've got Mike Hussey, so guys that have played for Chennai now within the coaching, so they know what needs to be done at Chepauk. They know what needs to be done to win games of cricket, and they've managed to keep that group, whether it be coaching or playing staff, together.
But, Simon, like I said yesterday, and we saw what happened, whatever you say, people are taking notes, especially in the pre-match show. So we know that Nehra ji is there giving them a lot of notes and those chits. But if you had some notes for GT going into playing in the Chepauk, what would it be?
Maybe one team change. Find a way to get Noor in there somehow. You'd probably have to come in for Spencer Johnson if they were to look that way. Although listening to Matthew Hayden and Anjum Chopra on the pitch report, there seems to be a little bit more grass on the Chepauk surface this season, so there is a little bit of pace and bounce. We saw that early indications of that the other night in the first game of the tournament. So for GT, I mean, they just fight as a group. The one thing I love about what they do, they may not look the best side on paper, but this game is not played on paper, folks. It's played on a field that has variables all over it, and that's the one thing I love about what the whole of that GT style. I know Ashish gets a lot of the plaudits because we see him all the time because he is the one running all the messages. He's the crazy one. He's the one that cannot stop yapping away and talking. But he loves the game. But then you've got the cool head of Gary Kirsten. You've got Vikram Solanki. You've got guys in and around that group that just keep him calm, or just let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go.
I think they let him go, don't they?
I think you do, and you spend a day on the golf course with Ashish, or you spend a few hours in a car, which I've done on a few occasions, and it just does not stop. But he's talking cricket. He loves the game, and that comes off into the players. They learn to love the game, but also the ups and the downs are not there or there. He's just he will tell them, just enjoy it, boys. Just go out and enjoy it. We are not the favourites tonight. Everybody expects Chennai to win. Just go out there, put on a show, do what you do well, with a smile on your face, and you might be okay. And that's kind of his mantra. Even in the toughest of times in his career, he still managed to find a smile, some way, shape or form. And that's what Ashish brings.
But Lisa, like Simon was saying, he feels like he's more a football manager coach than a cricket coach, because usually with cricket coaches you see them in their chair in the dugout, a little calm. But with Nehra ji, he's just there. Like the last game, they're 9 runs and he was still sending out messages in the last ball. With him, there's always something happening. But he's also spoken about how, his mantra is to just keep it simple.
Yeah.
But when he's on the ground, it doesn't look like he's keeping
It's not
it simple
there. I think that there are 2 types of players. So, when you're a player, you can control what's going on. You can control destiny. When you go into the coaching world, you can't. You have to get players in the right frame of mind. But we were talking about it actually yesterday, that cricket has been probably the last sport where the coach actually runs the play. You see that in NFL, you see it in basketball, you see it in football, you see it with coaches literally almost picking up the players and saying, this is the move we're going to do. I feel like T20 cricket is starting to go down that path. And maybe Ashish Nehra is ahead of the game because he is still playing the game. He is still out there living and breathing every moment. What you do need is the right people around him, but you also need the players to understand him and sometimes just let it go in and it might just keep going out, but you've taken in the information. You choose whether you want to use it or not. So you need 2 groups of people.
Yeah, you think about
around.
what are you using? Is it a sieve or a calendar you use in the kitchen?
Yeah.
You just keep what's good.
Yeah.
Sift what's no good out, and that's how you create good ingredients, and that's what creates a team as well. Everyone will have a different opinion and a different idea, and he will throw 10 ideas at you, and 4 of them might be great. They might suit you, 2 or 3 might not suit you, and the other 3 you might walk away and think about. But unless you're getting those ideas and that innovation is coming into the game, I don't think coaches are doing their job if that's not the case. They've got to be testing these players. They're not there as to change bowling actions or to change batting styles, because they don't have the time in a shortish tournament. So you are there to get the best out of your players, and however you do that, 90% of it is probably mental, and that's where he's very good with all the players, I think. And as Lisa and I've said, he's got great people around him, and not only in the coaching staff, but I think the likes of Shubman Gill will be relying heavily on a Kane Williamson.
Yeah.
Just to the captaincy side of things, how you control things on the field. So, there's a lot to like about what they've done, and you cannot argue with a win and a second placing, for 2 balls, basically. But for 2 balls, they were back-to-back champions. And it's a terrific effort for a brand new franchise.
But Lisa, you were talking about how the players need to understand him. He also speaks about how he needs to understand the players, and that's the unique thing about him. And he said that he keeps it very simple when he coaches, but he likes to have this one-to-one relationship with each player. And I think Sai Kishore has something to say about it. We'll have a look at what he says. We give a lot of emphasis to competing. Whether we win or lose, we are proud of the way we play. We competed really well. That was the talk given by Ashish Nehra as well. All credit to the culture he set up over the last 2 years. People are not thinking about the result. They're focusing about competing and staying in the game. So clearly there is, like I said, he likes to keep it simple, saying win or lose, we're competing.
Yeah, the process behind what you're trying to do. So if players, you talk about certain strike rates within the power play. I say strike rates because this man's next to me.
And I think, our seniors will ban me for fortress and you for process. There are 2 words you're not allowed to use at Cricbuzz, but
before Lisa, Kara, maybe our Cricbuzz family could send us in some messages on Twitter or Instagram
Other
or
words.
X. What else would you call the F word?
Yeah.
Yes.
And not the 4-letter F word. What else would you call the F word where Chennai play their games? Give us some other names. What else
Yes.
would you call it?
And process.
Yes, yeah.
We're talking about the process.
Yeah, but I think it's important to kind of celebrate that, and so no doubt when he talks about competing, they go, okay, you came at a certain bowler, or you decided to attack, and you didn't sit there and let them dictate. So those are the things to celebrate. You see it now predominantly in these shortened tournaments. It's about the type of the brand of cricket that you want to play.
Well done, Lisa. Brand, all right. we got the word. I want to update everyone. Gujarat have won the toss and they have decided to bowl first, surprisingly. Ruturaj Gill said they'd like to bowl as well. But at the pitch report, they were discussing that it is a bat first wicket. So a little surprising, you feel, considering both wanted to bowl first?
I just wonder whether they're worried about some dew and a wet ball. And Chennai can be a bit like that. It's quite a sticky, humid place. So, and if the outfield's got a little bit of grass on it, which they tend to more at the start of the tournament. That's one of the things that I noticed at the start of this tournament because it's so long. As the pitches where the outfield slot gets shorter as well, and they don't leave as much grass on the outfield. Early part of the tournament, maybe a little more grass, a little more opportunity for the dew to sit on top of the grass and the ball to be a bit damp later on. So, making the most of that early situation, maybe wanting to chase. I think chasing against Chennai has always been a little bit dangerous, but they now have to go out there. And as a skipper, Shubman Gill's won the toss. He's decided that they will bowl, and so his job will be to chase whatever is on the board later on tonight. So he's taken that upon himself as well.
Well, I'm sure Nehra ji had his inputs on what more than what Shubman had. It was Nehra ji's. Let's have a look at Gujarat's playing 11. I think they've gone unchanged. Lisa, we were discussing whether Noor should come in or not because of Chennai. But will you be surprised if they go unchanged or they go ahead with
Well, you probably that impact player might be the interesting one. And we've seen it being used even in the first innings, not necessarily the second innings. So they may weigh up their options once we get a look at who the substitute are. But you'd expect that, early on in the tournament, we keep talking about building confidence, getting the players in the right mindset. Chennai do it really well. I think Gujarat is very similar in that vein.
But Simon, with Gujarat, it's also horses for courses because with Chennai, you know that you're going to get a turning pitch. So it's not so much about, it's just the second game. You should go with the not change your winning squad. But considering the pitch, they might
I mean, you still have to take the pitch into consideration, but you have to have all your bases covered as well and what the opposition may not want. And when you're thinking about Chennai, you're also thinking about, okay, they've got a couple of players in there that don't like the short ball. So we need some pace. So we probably need Spencer Johnson, who's got the most pace of anyone in that squad. So that may turn them against playing a Noor Ahmed.
Yeah.
For Chennai, they know what they do at home. They've got spin bowling options. Ravindra didn't even bowl the other night. So they've got options. The other night it was just typical sort of Gaikwad had taken over from MSD. They used 5 bowlers. They all bowled 4 overs. It was pretty simple stuff. They don't, they don't change much. So you don't expect them to change a lot. Sides, again, I go back to later in the tournament, things might change. If you go into Chennai, it might be a little more worn. We might not see as much grass on the pitch. But the bounce that we saw in game number 1 against Bengaluru, I think if that's similar, then, a couple of the bowlers from the Gujarat Titans, particularly Spencer Johnson with his height and his pace, he might cause a few issues.
All right, let's have a look at Gujarat's playing 11 if we have our team ready. I don't think they've gone ahead with any changes. So, Lisa, they heard you. They want to go with the same playing 11. No surprises there. This is their bowling 11.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, the fact that as a Matula, he bowled well. He was able to swing the ball both ways. So hopefully, he can do exactly the same thing. Rashid Khan, Spencer Johnson, Mohit Sharma, Umesh Yadav, they all played their role for Gujarat, and that will be the important thing. Sai Kishore will be important on that surface. Obviously, the local boy will be glad to be back home. But it's a good side. It's a good playing 11. They've had success. Carry on.
And it looks like Sai
Sudarshan will come in.
Comes in at 3. Spencer Johnson goes out, which is just the opposite to what they did the other night because they batted first the other night, didn't they? I think so. It's going to be the same sort of swap around, I would imagine.
All right, let's have a look at Chennai's playing 11 because Gujarat have gone unchanged and. Well, it's Chennai, Simon. What does one say? Just copy-paste again.
Yeah, 3 overseas. That's the way that they're looking at this. Batting first, obviously. They've got to put a score on the board. Ravindra was decent, but they managed to get to their 170-odd chase with the highest score being 37. They bat deep. That's one of the things. Deepak Chahar more than useful with the bat coming in at number 9. So there are good options for them there. Who's the one that's missing? It's Teekshana, isn't it? That's missing. So he'll be in their substitutes. He'll come in when it's time for them to bowl. You would imagine. I don't think they would bring anyone else in from there. Mitchell Santner is an option if they wanted to go with a left arm spinner. But when you look at maybe some left-handers in that Gujarat lineup, you wouldn't bother with that. So they're fairly settled. They know exactly what to expect. They know what to do there, and just look for Gaikwad to be a little bit more animated maybe with his captaincy. I think he'll grow through the tournament. It'll be very difficult for him throughout the tournament. Even if they're winning, it's still very difficult because everyone will still be saying that while MS is behind the stumps, he's still going to be captaining that side or doing most of the talking. So I think this is a season for Ruturaj to learn and allow MS to do what he does, because if you're not tapping into his brain, then there's something wrong with your brain, basically. So I just think that will be the case throughout the season, and people will all be talking about it. But he's just got to soak it in and allow it to happen, because that's the transition that they're looking for.
Well, we tend to see anyway, wicket keepers are a key because they can get the angles right.
Yeah.
They tend to make those slight minor adjustments that need to be done. A lot of talking.
Never met a quiet one.
Yeah.
I've never met a quiet wicketkeeper. They all yap, don't they? They just, they all love a yap, and they're all, they're some of the most aggressive people, whether they be women cricketers, men cricketers. They're some of the most aggressive going around. So, I don't see that being any
But
different.
with Dhoni, he does it subtly. I don't think we catch it as much as maybe a Pant who's just, always there.
Correct.
With Dhoni, as a fan, you can't really hear him at the stump mic, so he's doing it subtly. I'm sure he's doing it, though.
I do like to see his facials and his reactions, right? The eyes just start to go and you're like, what is going on in that mind of yours? Please tell us.
Well, let's have a look at the impact subs, because there is a big boost for Chennai. Patirana is back in the impact subs, so that's a big positive there. He was nursing a hamstring injury, if I'm not wrong. So this is something that Chennai knew was going to happen. We'll be very happy with this.
Well, no Teekshana there tonight.
Yeah.
So he bowled 4 overs in the first game, mid-30s. I think he went 4 in the first game.
None for 36.
Teekshana, So they've got the option of Santner if it stays relatively dry.
Yeah, it depends on.
It might depend a lot on whether the dew actually does form or not, or Patirana. So that's good news from a Chennai point of view.
If he does play, I'd be surprised if he bowls the 4 overs. They may want to kind of slowly step him up.
Yep.
So he may actually come in, if they do use him, just for maybe 2 overs, nail his Yorker, and then off he goes, and slower deliveries.
Yeah. And they might even see whether Shivam Dubey is, can bowl, and if he can bowl tonight or do something different, then they might go with Santner. So they've got nice options to have there as well.
But with CSK, usually they have all their boxes ticked. You always know that everything is on the right track. In the first game, their death over bowling, I feel, was something they would like to go back and do their homework. RCB was 78 for 5, and from there they couldn't close it. So I think with Patirana coming back in, he usually comes in the 12th, 13th over. So that hopefully will also get ticked, Lisa.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why as well, wasn't it? The fact that they leaked too many runs in the back 5 overs, and the Fizz normally, he hasn't got the pace. Yes, his slower deliveries are quite good. There was a plan to try and bowl that wide line, which he didn't quite hit, and there's quite a few wides in there as well. So I think Deshpande, they'll give him another opportunity. You can't cross someone off, and Chennai's not the type of team to go, okay, you've had a bad game, we're never going to give you that opportunity again. They'll be working hard with him to get his line, his lengths right, and give him another opportunity to execute. So, but Patirana potentially comes in and solves a little problem for them.
Yeah, and 6 wides in that last 5 overs, so an extra over was bowled. That is one of the issues that Patirana has had, just losing his shaped leg side a little bit, particularly to the right-handers at times. So you hope he's come back well and come back from that injury nicely. 1 good over each, I think, from the Fizz and from Deshpande. Even the last over wasn't bad, even though it had 2 wides, three wides. It still only went for 9 with a wicket off the last ball. So when it's the last over of the innings, it's not all bad. The Fizz bowled a decent 17th over. Deshpande was expensive in 18 and Fizz was a little bit expensive in 19. So that's the one thing they'll look to maybe change with Patirana coming back in. I think he's, even if he only comes in and bowls 2 overs, bowls 18 and 20, 17 and 19, he might get the job done for them.
But you're talking about Fizz, and Chennai just manages to do this. Like players who usually people don't expect to come and shine. Like with Ajinkya, people were thinking he's almost done. Then he comes to Chennai, does what he does. With Patirana, a new young kid, and then he's done what he did. With Fizz, I don't know if you'll remember back in 2015, there was this viral video which went crazy because Dhoni did a little nudge and there was this collision that happened. But 9 years later, there's a coalition that's happened between the both of them, and a beautiful one.
I don't know about a little nudge. I had a look at the video. I think he dropped the shoulder. I think back home everyone would be very impressed with the technique there.
I think so.
But yeah, I mean, you like to see players go hard at it out on the middle, and you can change. This is what we love about T20 cricket. This is what we love about the IPL. One thing about Chennai, I would imagine if you're a player, and same with a little bit like Mumbai, very successful side. So you come in, you feel like you're standing 6 foot tall already, right? And then they give you a very clear role. This is the reason why we've selected you. And to be selected by a very successful club, a franchise, you suddenly go, okay, yeah, I can do that. So there's probably more self-belief because of who's selected you.
100%, and you want those sort of players. And whether what happened in 2015, MS, he's played that much cricket between then and now, he won't have forgotten about it. But you want competitors, you want fighters on your side, and he might look at the Fizz and he think, that was quite good. That was good. I know what you're trying to do. I gave it back to you. That's fine. I got no issue with that. And those are the sort of players you want on your side. And he'll be like, this guy's got something about him. And I think he suits their side. He suits the conditions. Brilliant in game number 1 against Bengaluru. And I've said it many times before, I've not seen any player go to Chennai and come out of there a worse player.
True.
And that is credit to what MS has done. You go through the coaching staff, you've already been through it already, but Rajiv Kumar, Eric Simons now, Dwayne Bravo, Hussey, Stephen Fleming, the backroom staff, the ownership, probably the least interfering ownership of all of the franchises. They just let them get on with their business because they know what they have and they know who's in charge. But I've not seen a player go there and come back or go, many a player has gone from other franchises to Chennai and been successful. And for that very reason, that what Lisa just said, you have a clearly defined role. They don't clutter your head with a lot of things. You're already going to a successful franchise. There's so many things about it that you just have to love. And, they've been successful with teams where we didn't think they would be successful.
Yeah.
And they picked a team for Chepauk, and then the tournament got moved to the UAE.
Yeah.
They were still successful. We didn't think they could be. So, that's just what a high-end franchise is able to do.
But Lisa, just a little bit more on Fizz. The other day DK spoke very highly of him and said he was the toughest to pick because he was bowling those slower ones which were being very difficult to pick, and he was also mixing it up very well with the length. So clearly there is, of course, Eric Simmons also spoke about how they've given him that kind of a role and that kind of a direction, but just very impressive in his first game.
Yeah, he's coming off probably the Bangladesh Premier League, having performed well, and when a player comes in with runs or wickets under his belt, he certainly feels that he can come in and have an impact straight away.
Well, someone who always has a massive impact is Mr. Rashid Khan. With him, there are 4 overs, let's just play him off. He didn't get a wicket in the first game, but he's somebody who just chokes the opponents. He does it time and time again. He's been riddled with injury. He's not played a whole lot of leagues this year, but he just comes back and is in top form.
Yeah, and this is one of the leagues he wants to be 100% right for as well. And you can see why. You can understand why. It's the best in the world. It's it's the toughest T20 league in the world. He's getting himself ready for a T20 World Cup later on in the year, and he wants to be 100% ready to go. If he's not taking wickets, the guy at the other end will be, because he creates that pressure. So one of the great things about Rashid and what he's able to do, he's very miserly. Those that have had success against him have tended to sweep him or slog sweep him, but you have to hit it because he very rarely leaves the stumps out of the equation. He's so straight. Wrong end's probably more effective for him than the leg spinner, but he's got enough turn on that leg spinner, and it's just his pace. That's the one thing, and because he lets it go quite quickly and relatively low, it skids onto you. So sweeping is not easy, but those who have had success against him have swept him.
You know, Lisa, I'd like to actually direct this question in middle to the fast bowler and to the spinner, because Rashid said that he calls himself a fast spinner and no one really bowls at that speed, because he bowls at what, 95, 100 at times. Exactly what you're talking about, his speed and his arm speed. So do you think that's the reason people can't really pick him, or are there those constant wrist action changes in his grips that he gets? What is it?
Yeah, I think it is the speed. And I think it's also the subtle changes and the consistency. What Simon said about leaving the stumps, if you were to do a beehive, like 95% of balls are hitting stumps, right? Everyone's a human being, we're going to miss sometimes. He doesn't really miss. So because of that and his speed, you don't necessarily coach the way he bowls a ball. He doesn't really have a front arm. But because of that, he makes it really unique. And we've seen across the history of the game, players with unique actions have a way just to be a little bit different, and that causes a lot of headaches. And he's one, even though he had surgery and he's been out of the game, to come back and bowl those 4 overs miserly just shows you he doesn't lose it. I
don't know if you've ever shaken hands with the guy. He has, for a smallish man, he has enormous, strong hands. So we had
and big hands, like
massive,
really big hands.
Massive hands. So we had some great video footage in the UAE recently. 2 balls, 2 cricket balls running in and bowling.
Wow.
2 balls in his right hand, running up with his normal action and bowling both balls.
But like
as he
they
was
fall in
warming up.
accurately.
Yeah. Both of them coming out.
I want to see that footage.
It was unbelievable. If you can, I don't know whether it'll be out there in the web somewhere, but we had some great footage of him running in and bowling with 2 cricket balls, and they're enormous. They are such big hands. So he's also got a slight advantage over some others when the ball is wet.
Yeah.
So in damp type conditions, we saw him the other night. He was brilliant. The ball was wet. It was really wet the other night.
But he also trains with the wet ball as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
He does that, but he's got such strong fingers that he's able to do that. I mean, you cannot imagine running with 2 cricket balls and bowling them both accurately with the same action. It was phenomenal. I couldn't believe what I was watching, but we just kept replaying it.
But you know, Lisa, you spoke about it looks like a beehive and he doesn't miss too much. There's someone who doesn't miss too much when a spinner bowls, and that's Shivam Dube. So it's going to be, I know you are not a big fan of matchups, Simon, I know it, but it's just that he completely derailed their plans the other day. You know, with Shivam Dube, when he comes to bat, he's just like, no spinners. Yeah. Can we expect that today? But considering there's a top class Rashid opposite him, what can we expect?
No, this is the thing, like, why hide spinners? If they're a good enough spinner, they want to actually see how good they are by bowling to a batter who can hit them out of the ground. And so you know if you bowled a good ball, it's been a perfect delivery. So no, we will see Rashid bowl to, and maybe as soon as he comes out, because it is also, sometimes your strength is your weakness. So Dube loves going big. Well, hey, let's throw a spinner on. I know there's one side slightly bigger than the other, so maybe potentially he bowls to that and he leaves it open and dangles the little carrot and see if he wants to take it.
Yeah, but Rashid has big hands and Dube has big power. So he also likes to hit the slog sweep. I'm sure he's listened to the pre-match show and he's taken notes, Simon. But can we expect this, match up?
We're banning 4 words now. We're banning matchups, strike rates, F tresses, and P cesses. But they're gone. They're all gone. So we're going to banned list. We're going to have a banned list on the table. We will see Rashid bowl to Shivam Dube if he's there. We will not see, I go out on a limb, we won't see him bowl a regular leg spinner. He will just bowl wrong'uns. He will bowl wrong'uns across Dube if he's bowling to him, I think, every delivery. I don't imagine, if there might be one targeting the pads, hoping that he misses a slog sweep, sliding in, you might see it. But he is that good a bowler that he will not be worried about bowling a ball to Shivam Dube.
He'll want the ball.
Yeah, he will.
He comes out.
He will. And you know, they'll try Spencer Johnson. As soon as Dube walks out, Spencer Johnson will get the ball. They'll try, they'll go at him. They would like to have the quick bowler bowling with the slightly bigger leg side boundary. So, keep an eye on that. But they won't be worried about bowling spin, or Rashid won't be worried about bowling spin to Dube, I don't believe.
Well, someone who bowls more wrong ones than Rashid is Mr. Joy Bhattacharya because we can never figure them out. Let's have a look at what he has to ask us today. In this tournament, if KL and Pat Cummins are just ahead of Sunil Narayan, Yusuf Pathan and Nicholas Puran, who leads the chart? I was told this is a simple one.
Yeah,
today,
same.
guys. But
There's just too many names there
Yeah.
for me.
It's
I mean, would you all prefer playing Rashid Khan instead of answering the joy factor question? Because we don't have answers
We
to
have
this.
no idea.
We have no answers to it, but I'm sure a lot of you have answers to it. So please write in to Cricbuzz Live and tell us what you'll think. But we have to...
What?
Oh, do you know? Sai?
Oh, I think I've got a guess. But I won't. I'll tell you in the green room.
okay.
Okay. We'll just pretend like you knew the answer also,
Yeah,
your guess, because we have to...
All right.
You have to look intellectual and answer his questions, Lisa. What we also have to do is do a prediction game.
Prediction.
Lisa, go for it.
175.
Oh, you've just gone on game one, haven't you?
Was that
Just-
game
I think
one?
there was one something like that in game one. I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Oh,
Instead of
okay.
that, but no, that's good. I will go 189.
I'm just going to go higher and go with 198.
Whee!
Let's see. Let's play brave
Yeah,
because
good, like it.
Nehra ji said you have to play brave. I'm going to follow his notes. We'll wait and watch. That's all for now. It's going to be an exciting game, but don't forget to join us for more updates. The 10th over point at the Cricbuzz Combox. We'll see you all soon.
Jaipur via Kota.
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವರೆ
হায়দ্রাবাদ 50 এক্সপ্রেস পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন कृपया ध्यान दियो